What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video. I'm super excited because in this video, we're going to be talking about my week in Canggu, specifically when we went to Bali. Why? Because it's my favorite place. Now, I can't really say that because I like a lot of places in Canggu, but we're going to be breaking down a bunch of the stuff that we did, and then I'm actually going to list the top 5 things that I loved about Canggu that I would love to do again when we go back there, to hopefully inspire you to check out the island and to give you a little bit of direction on what you could do if you went there. Why did we go to Bali in the first place? Well, I got the opportunity to speak on stage, and it was a fucking blast. You see, Daniel and myself were going to fly down to Australia so I could step on stage at Clean Health Live 2 to talk about social media, business, and growth, because as an online business coach for personal trainers who is partnered with Clean Health, the best certification company in the world for personal trainers, we gotta drop some knowledge on these motherfuckers. All right, we gotta teach them on a continual basis what to do on social media and what to do in their businesses so they can get out of the gym and scale online to achieve their dreams. Now, instead of just me and Daniel going down there and me getting on stage and us inspiring a bunch of people, me and Julia had a conversation and we're like, why not go back to our favorite place on the fucking planet? Because back in 2019, if we were to hit that rewind button for a minute before the vid, me and Julia went to Bali with Brian and Kirst, and it was beautiful. It was amazing, and we fell in love with the island. So as soon as we got an opportunity to go back to that side of the world, we jumped on it. So the plan was very simple. We mapped out around 15 to 16 days in Bali itself before we had to fly to Australia. And we first originally did 11 days in Canggu and then 5 days in Ubud, which we're going to talk about in a future vlog. But when it comes down to the Canggu portion, it was my favorite, and I would love to go back very soon because it gives you kind of like a nomad, surfer, entrepreneur vibe. And as an individual that loves to fly to places in the world to experience the world with my family, while also having to run a business online, those vibes help me perform at an extremely high level. I like being around other driven entrepreneurs, and I like being in places that realistically, for lack of a better term, spike my creativity and work ethic, and Canggu is just that. Now, what did we do in Canggu? Well, that's a very broad question because we did a lot, but also it doesn't seem like we did too much. You see, we didn't do a lot of crazy touristy things. Last time, back in 2019, we did even more. When I'm talking about day excursions and waterfall visits and then going to Gili Tea and jumping in the ocean and doing snorkeling, we didn't do any of those crazy things, but we still did a lot in Canggu, like exploring the beaches, checking out multiple restaurants, hitting brunch space after brunch space after brunch space, because if you didn't know, once you're married, brunch becomes a staple in your life. All right, multiple gyms, which by the way, I'm actually not gonna tell you my favorite one just yet. You're gonna have to pay attention to keep watching. Massages, because you can get a 60-minute massage for like $11, so I got a shitload of them. All right, the water slides, shopping, ended up getting like 17 bracelets and 15 rings. It was insane. Hookah lounges, fight nights at the Airbnb, bunch of family time, and we went and looked at houses. But let's hone in on some things. Again, today I want to talk about the 5 things I suggest you do and the 5 things that I loved doing in Canggu as a 30-year-old entrepreneur. So we're gonna break this down from my least favorite to my favorite, starting out with Tanalot. Now, I know a lot of you guys, if you've been to Bali in the past, you're like, Cole, you're fucking crazy. Tanalot is super beautiful. Yeah, it is. And I love experiencing culture when I go down to different nations and different countries. However, it was just a temple to me. Okay, I'm not trying to be rude. It was just a temple to me. Again, I'm all about the entrepreneurial surfer vibe. That's why I love Canggu so much. So taking a 45-minute drive in a taxi where there was the entire family squished in this little tiny vehicle to get out and go look at a temple at sunset was beautiful, was amazing. The photos we got there are mental beautiful, but it's still my least favorite out of the 5 things that we're breaking down. At least it made the list. Okay, at least it made the list, so we'll say that. Number 4 would be the beach clubs like La Brisa and more. All right, there's way too many of them for me to mention, but at the end of the day, La Brisa is probably my favorite. Daniel absolutely loved La Brisa because you get a mix between entrepreneur and relaxing family vibes while also being on the beach and having that surfer's vibe in the jungle vibe. It's dope. All right, La Brisa is amazing. I also like it because it kind of separates you from like the craziness of everybody else due to the fact that when you pick a little hut to sit in for the day, it's secluded. Obviously, you can go down to where everybody's partying right near the beach, but if you kind of just stay by the interior pools, it keeps you away from the craziness of all these drunk people who want to explore and party in Bali while giving you the same vibe that I look for as a husband and a father now, while trying to run an online business worth multiple millions, employing 50 people, and inspiring and helping thousands. 3 would probably be the water park. Now, we went there for Cade because we wanted him to experience a water park and just have fun, but we stayed there for me, Julia, and Daniel. All right, let's be real. The food was great. All right, the drinks were great. Let's be real, I just had Diet Coke, but Julia and Olga both said the drinks were great. But the water slides were a whole nother level. All right, Cade had an absolute blast. He was making friends with strangers. He was running around messing with people. They were messing with him. It was good. And we went on every single water slide. And when I tell you that not only were they crazy fast, they almost felt dangerous. That is not an exaggeration. All right, we came flying down this one, spat us out. Me and Julia were both like choking on water. And then I was filming, all right, waiting for Daniel to hit. And it literally looks like he's going to fly through the wall because of how big he is. He's just like, bang! And I started choking on water and laughing my ass off.
You were flying.
It was so much fun, guys, all right? It brought out the kids in us again. Because I feel like a lot of us, again, especially when you're running a business or you're in a family or you're growing or whatever the case may be, you lose the kid in you, and going to the water park brought out the kid in us. So not only was Cade able to have an amazing time, we were too. Number 2 would be real estate shopping. Now, a lot of you guys might not have this on your list, and a lot of you guys might not care about this point because you might be going to Bali just to explore and have fun, where we went to Bali to explore and to have fun, but also to look at the life that we could be living in the future. You see, as a successful entrepreneur, I need to start looking at different things to do with my life. And one of the things that I want to do is invest in my future. Look towards putting my money towards something that's going to benefit me and benefit my children. And when we saw the opportunity where we could pick up a house in Bali, we started exploring that. Why is it not my favorite thing? Why is it not number 1? Because I felt like dog shit while we were out there. You see, the day before, I ended up getting Bali belly, and let's just put that at the very back of the list. Nobody ever wants Bali belly. It's fucking horrible. But I had it, all right, and I went through a very dark moment the night before, so that is why this is not my number 1. Not to mention we didn't buy anything, so I don't feel like I can mark it as my number 1 favorite thing to do or my number 1 favorite thing that we did in Bali at that time. But it was very cool. It was a very cool, surreal feeling to be back in our favorite place on the planet 5 years after we went the first time, looking at houses that we could live in. We ended up seeing 4 houses, and it's definitely a different vibe of checking out houses, all right, than if you're in Canada or the United States, because it's not very organized. You just kind of show up and there's drunk and hungover people in the bedroom still that you can't actually explore. But there was one place that we really liked, and we ended up seeing a couple different options that we could explore in the future. So when we go back at an undisclosed date, we'll be able to check out some more. And number 1, my favorite thing about this trip to Bali, my favorite suggestion for all of you guys when you go to Bali, is the exploring, shopping, and gyms. And I know that might be anticlimactic to you guys, but again, I'm an online entrepreneur. All right, I'm a gym junkie. Even though I might not be looking like Mr. Olympia, I love the gym. I love my fitness. I love my activity. I love shopping. I love going to little stores. I love going to little restaurants. So that was my favorite part about this trip. All right, we got to explore a lot of super cool shops. All right, like one of my favorite, Haze and Glory, which is a jewelry shop, or Deuces. If you guys go down there, not only is it a bar, not only is it a restaurant, it's also a clothing store and a barber shop. They have it all in there. Then they have a custom motorcycle shop in the back. All right, so those 2 stores are my favorite. I loved shopping there. And then again, on top of that, the gyms were crazy this time. We ended up going to a couple, and they were nice, but they weren't worth mentioning. My favorite, which is worth mentioning, is Obsidian Gym. If you guys get an opportunity to go to Bali, make sure you go there. The gym is pristine. The equipment is top notch. I should know, I own a gym in West Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. I know how expensive the equipment is that they have in that gym. The fact that every single piece is outfitted and perfectly in shape blows my mind. All right, they also had a food bar. They also had a cold plunge. It was an amazing facility, and I had an absolute blast because I was able to just be myself. All right, I was able to dress how I want to dress, show up there, bust out a good workout. Me and Daniel were able to do a bunch of filming. It felt like home, and I feel like that's why that was my #1 favorite thing about this last trip to Bali, and it's my #1 suggestion for you guys when you go there. It's cool to do all the tourist stuff. All right, it's very cool to explore on the island and do all of these things that you see on Instagram, but what I want to push you to do is when you do get to Bali, kind of just center yourself in your routine. See if you can find one. Obviously, if you're going for 3-4 days just to drink and party, you might not be able to create a routine. But if you're going for more than 10 days, you'll be able to break one down. And having a routine in Bali felt great because I would like that to be our full-time or part-time home in the near future. Now listen, you might not like anything that I broke down in this video. You might go to Bali, do the things that I broke down, and be like, Cole is crazy. Why would he suggest these things? Listen, I'm just trying to give you some insight into why I love the country so much, and hopefully give you some direction on what you could do if you do choose to go experience Bali in general. But let's be real, you don't just have to hang out in Canggu. You can go to Ubud, you can go to Seminyak, you can go to Uluwatu, or multiple other locations. In my opinion, Bali is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And to this day, out of everywhere we've been, Australia, Bali, Lisbon, the Algarves, Spain, everywhere in Canada, everywhere in the United States, Bali is my favorite. And I love this country because of so much to do with it. Guys, I've traveled all over the world, and I don't plan on stopping, but as of right now, Bali is my favorite. When it comes down to the food, when it comes down to the culture, based off of their culture and the nomad culture that is erupted there, for lack of a better term. Not only do I love exploring Bali and experiencing the real nature of the country itself, but I fucking love that I can just go to a random coffee shop and meet a 6, 7, or 8-figure earner. All right, meet a digital nomad that has built a YouTube channel to 500,000 subscribers and that is impacting thousands upon thousands of lives. I love that feeling. I love the fact that I can take my entire family and a bunch of friends out for lunch and it only costs $100. I love that I can wear shorts and a tank top 24/7 because it is so hot. I've grown up in a place where you can't even go outside for 8 months of the year because your face will freeze and my beard turns white because of how cold it is outside. All right, I love the difference, all right, the culture shock that is Bali. And I will consistently tell everybody that I know that if you've never experienced it, if you're looking for an amazing vacation, whether you are a regular human being working a 9-to-5 job just looking to vacation, or a digital nomad looking for an escape to regular life so you can get inspired and motivated, go to Bali. Go to Bali. I promise you, you will not regret it. With that being said, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because in the next video, we're actually going to break down exactly how much it costs to live in Canggu versus Canada based off of a full day of spending. All right, now I'm talking about a full day of spending for an entire family of 5 at the time, 4 adults and 1 child. And guess what? It's still cheaper than Canada. So if you want to see that, sub to the channel, make sure you like this video and comment below. Have you been to Bali already? If you have and you want to tell me what we should see because we're going to be going back soon, tell me. If you've never been and you have any questions, ask below. Maybe I can give you some insight. All right, we got a bunch of Bali vlogs coming out showing you guys different things, different perspectives, and different experiences. I can't wait to show you and share.